Welcome to the Beyond Cinema studio up here at Sundance. Alex, Jason, firstly, man, your third film, but the first one that doesn't rely so heavily on yourself in front and behind the camera. How does it feel being able to kind of step back and bring in these people to make your world come true?
I mean, it's like the difference between like driving with blinders on and driving on an open road. It's, you know, I could focus my energies 1,000% on doing one thing. On my last movie, I was in it, I was directing it, I was the only person who had any relationship with any of the locations, I was the only person who was spending any of the money, I was the only person who was getting people from place to place. You know, and all of those things were done equally poorly because each one of them could only occupy 20% of my mental powers, and on this movie I could focus 100% of the powers on, you know, everything else that a director should be doing, and it really, I think, was just so much more fun.
Yeah, on Color Wheel, which was obviously received really well by some people. It was pretty polarizing for some other people, but you really got to work with some other filmmakers, and it seemed like it was really like friends and family, and whoever was in your natural community came in. Were these guys, Jason, Elizabeth, were these people that you knew before, or did you meet them specifically for this project?
I met them all specifically for this, and you know, I felt very nervous because my only experience was putting people in my movies who I felt comfortable taking advantage of and asking them, hey, I need a couple days of your time, you will get nothing out of it. So to have people come in who, you know, could easily say, well, I don't want to do that, I have a real job, I have things I could really be doing. It was really nerve-wracking, but honestly, by the time we started filming on day one, the relationship was identical to every friend that had been in either of my other movies, and we were just able to talk and communicate and, you know, have a back and forth exchange that was similar to that of any schmuck that happens to be a friend of mine. And a lot of the supporting people in the film are the same friends of mine that have been in the other movies. It's just amazing to put them in scenes with actors like this and just remember, you know, how pathetic we all felt when we were making the smaller movies, and then to take a guy who's, you know, in Color Wheel and put him in a scene with Jason and Elizabeth and just watch that scene and be like, well, he belongs there. Like this isn't like a joke that my friend's in this scene. He's holding his own against these people. Yeah. And it feels really proud to see your friends reach this level with you.
Very cool. Jason, what was the first meeting like with Alex? Was it a Skype or a cafe? Or?
It was a vegan restaurant in New York called Angelica's Kitchen. Or is it Angelica Kitchen?
I think it's Angelica.
Yeah, Angelica, so drop the apostrophe. But it was really nice. We had tried through our representatives to connect, but it was very confusing. So we just got each other's personal emails, and Alex was very nice I was working in New York, and so he was very flexible with his time, and so finally we were able to meet at Angelica Kitchen, and I sort of felt like 3 minutes into hanging out with him, very excited, and like I want to go make this movie. In fact, I remember feeling like really like I just want to go make it now, like tonight. Can we just start shooting now? You know what I mean? It was really it was nice, and I think that like I look for some type of personal connection. Like I've always found that I work the best when I feel like I know the person a little bit, and I think that's because you're going to be so silly, doing so many silly things, or being so you know, it's embarrassing, I find, sometimes to act, and you know, and I just want to connect with the person, and at least find like some similar sensibilities or something. And early on, I just felt like this is going to be great. And then we had a great night. We went and had drinks, and then while we were having drinks, we realized we should go have ice cream. So then we walked to an ice cream place. I didn't get back till like 1 a.m. I had like a sugar high. It was insane.
It's cool also because it was kind of a fluid New York moment.
It was, yeah.
Which is what the film has in it as well.
True.
So for you, filming in New York and being able to kind of capture this, you know, the rebellion against the kind of system as well as the system itself, how was that? Like New York as a character being so present?
Well, you know, I always say like the first line in the movie is that Philip had been living in the city for 9 years, which was true of me when you know, I started writing it, and I felt like I moved to New York to go to film school, and then after film school I continued working in the video store where I worked, and then I quit the store to make my first movie. So I feel like my time in New York was really defined by these separate little chunks. But what happened was that people that I'd known from one period of that life to another would carry over in very peculiar ways, and I went from being some bozo who works in a video store to a guy who's making films that play at world-class festivals, and I get flown all over to go talk about them. But people, reactions to you change, and I began to feel like that sort of was my New York experience. You know, it's not like I felt like I was being suffocated, it just was peculiar to me to watch the way that over time people started treating you differently in a way that I don't think they would anywhere else, because in New York, very modest success can mean quite a bit to people. In Los Angeles, it seems like you need a quite substantial success. But in New York, like really a little bit can change your standing in people's opinions, and
Then I should move there.
absolutely. I mean, they love you there. But it's
That's
just like,
not
you
to
know,
say that they don't love you.
No, but it's
Yeah.
different.
yeah, but it just became very clear that, like, you know, New York was a place where like people change around you. So then doing a movie where we see people orbiting around Philip seemed like the best way to do it, to show what it's like for a girlfriend to be dating a guy who's now very successful and very unhappy. And when they started dating, he did not have those things, and those were not true about his life. And that to me is just sort of what the city's about. You know, and I just wanted to do that movie. I wanted to make a New York movie that's not set at all in Manhattan or Williamsburg or Greenpoint, because I don't like any of those places. I like my part of Brooklyn. I like the way it looks, and I like films that are shot there. And I wanted to do one, and now I have.
What is it about Kim's video store that has kind of created this kind of little community?
I don't know. I mean, it was amazing at the time, you know, because it wasn't people who were working there and they were unhappy. I mean, it was like when I worked there, it was sort of the last point in American culture where people could actually work in a store as a career. Like, I was the youngest person when I started working there, and there were people who were 35, 40, who would work there for 7, 8 years, and that was like their career. And that's because there were stores to support it, and you know, but by the time I left, everyone was under the age of 30. Like, it just changed in 3 years, and there's just something, I don't know, I really don't know. Someday someone will make sense of it, but there's just something about the fact that I was able to make, you know, a movie with comfortable resources and fantastic actors, and it was shot by a guy who rented me movies and edited by a guy who worked up there as well. It has scenes with, you know, Jason, whose movies were all over the store, and a girl who worked in the store right there as well. It really just seems like a perfect, you know, little like a boiler. What do you call them? What you cook rice in? Like a pressure cooker.
Oh yeah.
Like a pressure cooker of just feelings and you know, feelings and thoughts and ways to explore and to discover things about yourself. But you know, I'm mentioning a lot of people who work there who I like to make films with. Plenty of other people work there too. It's not like the alumni situation is 1,000%. But I don't know. It was really just
It's not like it's not like a superhero thing where it's like you're renting movies and then you're like, Sean, sync up. We got to go make a movie. And the guy's like, you're just like calling everyone in every department, getting ready to go make a movie.
Yeah, no, it's not like that at all.
Like a superhero.
I mean, at the time, you know, certainly none of us who worked there thought we would ever amount to anything. We certainly didn't think we'd be, 2014? We certainly didn't think 7 years later we'd be at Sundance together with, you know, a movie like this that people are just so excited about. So
I was too afraid to ever go in there. I went in one time and left.
It was intimidating.
Yeah, for sure.